Happy Sunday, everybody, ladies and gents, Watchers World. I'm Franklin Cooper.
Tristan Jones, go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs, baby. We are at Watchers in the Basement. We got a special Sunday episode. We're doing an NBA trade deadline review. Now, we won't cover every single trade, just the big ones and what the landscape might look like for the second half of the NBA season. Tristan, let's start with Terrence Ross first, man. No, I'm fucking around. Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant. So
before we get into it, some dude, some Nigerian dude, I believe, is trying to scam me. Just requested me on Instagram. That's hilarious. We got trade deadline.
Yes, sir.
Pretty busy. Pretty busy.
Get busy, man. Get busy, man. So I feel like the Kyrie trade, man, and we'll talk about Kyrie in a little bit, man. But I feel like the Kyrie trade set up a lot of dominoes for the rest of the NBA. I mean, Tristan, you've been watching NBA a lot longer than I have. You've been more in tuned. A lot of my NBA questions I typically see to you or Jeremy. I want to know, man, for you, 'cause I know for me, this has been the most active trade deadline as far as like big pieces moving around than I can ever remember. What about you?
It's up there. I vividly remember 2005. That's the highlight of that was like Baron Davis to the Warriors. Like I remember that being a really big day. I remember being in my dorm room with like the rest of my dorm mates and like we were just kind of crowded. I think we all skipped classes that day and just kind of sat there and watched the ticker all day. Like, now we have whole NBA trade deadline shows, 5-hour shows. But 05, I think a few years ago, was pretty busy. Either 2021 or 20. It was one of those years. I have to look it up. But like this was absolutely one of the busiest trade deadlines, and I think it's going to continue to be that way every couple years or so because of the CBA, where shorter contracts. More guys are moving every year.
More buyers now with the play-in tournament now.
Absolutely, more buyers. I mean, and now we just have a league where, like I said, you can a 3-game win streak can get you to third place, or a 3-game losing streak can get you to 12th place. Like, obviously, with so many teams and so many big payrolls, like there's so much of an impetus to say, hey, we need to take these shots, to try to win these championships, especially because shorter contracts. Like we don't, not everybody's locked up forever. So like teams are more driven to take a shot, take a big risk to move into that next tier of good teams or championship contenders.
Another thing that caught my attention too, and I spoke about this in our group chat earlier this week. I've never seen more second round picks be flipped and flown around more than any time this year. I think with the Warriors, man, y'all offered 5 seconds in that 3-team trade.
We got 5 seconds and then traded those 5 seconds. So we never had them. So we got 5 seconds for Wiseman from Detroit. Took those 5 seconds and moved them to. I'm trying to. It's like the 5 seconds basically went from, I want to say, Detroit to us to Atlanta. And so like we just rerouted basically 5 second-round picks, and we talked about that in the draft in the group chat about. I think second-round picks are starting to become the new market in inefficiency, right? Number one, like in the last 10 years, 11 years, we've gotten Draymond Green out of the second round, who's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
We've gotten a 2-time, the reigning 2-time MVP. Out of the second round. And we're starting to see more and more productive players coming out of the second round. It's a trend that's been rising over the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We used to have like these anomalies like Ginobili, for the OGs like Carl Herrera and stuff like that. They used to be like the ceiling, right? And now you're seeing more rotational guys come out of the second round. I want to say Bones Highland was a second rounder.
Mm-hmm.
Like just you look around the league at every good team, honestly, and it's there for the most part. There's at least one second rounder that's either in the rotation or on the fringes of their rotation with a chance to like really move up. So also with teams using first round picks more often in these trades, um, every team just doesn't have a first round pick, or they, because of the rules, they may not have a first round pick available to trade in that particular year. So what takes place is, again, the new market inefficiency. It's second round picks.
And like you said, man, Nikola Jokic was the 41st pick of the second round. So he's damn it into the draft. And I think another thing too, Tristan, with now guys coming out playing 1 year in college, so many young guys are coming out, and we don't know what they are yet because they're so young. We don't know what they could develop to be. And I give you an example. I know Josh Green was a first round pick. He was the 19th pick of the first round 3 years ago. But Josh Green couldn't even dribble when he came in the league. He was a high energy guy. He was a guy that he couldn't shoot, he couldn't dribble. He was buried in the depth chart with the Mavericks under Rick Carlisle. And when Rick got fired, kids staff came in, and two summer leagues later, man, they developed his dribbling, they developed his ball handling skills. He's a 42% 3-point shooter from the corner. He's transformed into this rotational piece now, who is now like this one of our main wings now. So I think second round picks to me are so valuable, man, because when you get a 19-year-old into your organization, for example, Jordan Poole, I think he was the last pick of the first round a few years back too. He was second round pick.
Jordan Poole he wasn't the last pick. He was the second to last, 28th pick.
20th pick. Well, a guy who almost hit the second round, he fused in the G League development, developed. Now he's a prime league guard in today's NBA. So I say this. I feel like with second round picks, they're so precious, and I think teams need to think twice before shipping them out, because you don't know that next 19, 20-year-old guy could be not only a rotational piece, but a potential star.
And like you said, like Josh Green, y'all paid him what, $2.8 million, right? And you could have gotten a second round pick for the same amount of production his rookie year for 1.5 less.
Yeah.
So again, that goes back into like the market inefficiencies of it, because like you said, the draft, the first round is going younger because it's more risk with the potential guys that you're selecting. Like it makes for a lot of teams, it makes more sense to use that, really utilize that second round pick on somebody who you think could play right away while that first round pick is that higher pick is developing. And then teams have expanded their scouting departments. They're in all corners of the world. So yeah, like the second round pick today is not the second round pick in like 1997. You know what I'm saying? Like before, that second round pick was still a college guy, a 4-year college guy that everybody had a chance to see. And now, you're getting second round picks. You're spending them on different, European players, African players, like all these different countries. And then they stash them for a couple of years or something like that, or send them to the G League, or, put them at the end of the bench and let them work their way up. So yeah, we're going to see a lot more second round picks being used because it's just more productive second round picks in general now.
Let's jump into all the hoopla this past week with the trade deadline. I want to lead with Kevin Durant. So I feel like this trade could have been done over the summer. First off, I feel like they could have got a lot more for Kevin Durant than what they still got a haul, but I feel like that haul could have included Ayton had they made that move last summer. It was still fresh with the issues between Monty Williams and Ayton coming off that playoff run. Ayton was not happy. I still don't think he's happy. Well, he might be happier now that Durant's there, but you had a prime move to get probably Mikal, all the draft picks plus Ayton, a centerpiece to go along with your young nucleus. They still got a great haul though. So the Nets traded Kevin Durant, T.J. Warren for Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, who's a nice North Carolina Cam Johnson. I'm sorry, Tristan. I got to add that in for you.
Champion Cam Johnson. Yes.
For all the Tar Heel fans out there, Juan Pablo Valette, this year's first round pick. So 2023, 2025, 2027, often things are all unprotected. 2028 first round pick swap. 2028 second round pick. 2029 first round pick unprotected. And 2029 second round pick. So they got a haul for Kevin Durant. And you know what? I'm not mad at it because for me, watching the Suns this past year, they just seemed like they were muddling. They were just kind of muddling through, playing pretty much 500 basketball for most of the year. Chris Paul in and out of the lineup. I know Booker missed a bunch of games, December going to January. They just look like they needed a spark, and I'm not mad at it. I think it's a good risk. Now you mortgage your whole future for Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's in his close to mid-30s now with injury issues, but I see this as a Laker for AD thing. I think that if they win the championship in the next couple of years, I think it's worth it for them. You still have Booker. You still have. I think the start lineup is going to be what Booker, Durant at the 3, Paul at the 1. Would it be Sarge at the 5 maybe or the 4?
I think Sarge, either if he's still there. Yeah. I think he's still me. I don't know.
I'm not sure what the roster looks like now, but my concern with the Suns is that they don't have depth. They gave up a lot of their depth.
All of their depth.
Which is going to be tough. And if you're gonna fill this this depth with borderline guys like Sabian Lee, T.J. Warren, Damian Lee,
Torrey Craig is who's going to be starting.
Craig, okay. Josh Jacoby has been playing pretty well.
No, it have to be T.J. Warren. So okay, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, T.J. Warren, KD, Ayton. Or Torrey Craig, KD Ayton. Yeah.
KD Ayton.
And Sarek is not on that roster because I've seen him being listed as like a buyout candidate. So.
And then you have Josh Okogie come off the bench, Damian Lee, Sabian Lee, Josh Landale's your backup center.
Campaign,
your boy, Landry Shamet. Bismack Biyombo. So their depths are going to be hit as far as scoring punch off the bench. But if you're the Suns, man, you're weighing on your starting 5 to carry you and get you to West Conference Finals, if not NBA Finals. You know me, I still have the Warriors when healthy, as still the go-to team coming out the West with the experience. Clay looking a lot better over the last month or so. Jordan Poole. Steph's gonna be Steph. Draymond's your anchor. Loon as your. I think Loon's a bet. I think Loon in the center of Boston, the 2 best centers of basketball as far as the defense, in my opinion. And I think when healthy, man, I don't see anybody beating them. What is your take on the Kevin Durant trade, man? What does it mean for the Suns for the second half of the season, T?
It's like you said, it's a trade they had to make. Like we said. Teams are trying to jump into like that next tier of contendership. Is that if that's a word? I don't agree with a lot of the talking heads who have them automatically as favorites. Depth issues, like you said. Also, you are constructing basically a new team in the middle of the season, talented as it is. I don't think KD's somebody who's like high maintenance as far as how you integrate him into your actual gameplay. But he is a personality that you have to integrate into your like whole ecosystem. And how does it play out? Devin Booker has been taking all of, if not most of the shots. When he's healthy, when the team was whole, he's been the guy offensively. And Ayton, like we've been kind of begging Ayton to take that role as like the secondary guy. How is that going to work? Conceptually, I think they get it, but like, how does it work execution-wise when you put a whole different ecosystem into your ecosystem, right? Kevin Durant is his own ecosystem. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, he can come off pin downs and cool. He set a good screen, whatever. But he left Golden State doing all that. So how does that work? Like, I'm not saying it can't happen. Kevin Durant's as smart a basketball player as we've seen, especially offensively.
Here's my question though. Ayton seemed like he wasn't happy with touches last year, or lack thereof.
Right.
Now with Durant, that's another 24 to 26 shots a game, along with Booker, who's shooting the ball about 25 times. That's 50 shots between your two top scorers. My fear is that is Ayton going to be plugged in defensively? Is he going to be a guy that's going to kind of just be lost in the shuffle? Because sometimes, even watching the Suns last year against my Mavs, there were times I forgot Ayton was on the floor. and he looks so disengaged at times. Is that going to change?
I would say it could. Absolutely could change. And this is all before you throw in the fact that out of that entire squad, everybody we just named, KD, Ayton, Booker, none of them are in charge. Right? Only one person on that court is in charge. And that's Christopher Anthony Paul. So that's a different dynamic. Again, it's kind of like repeating the same mistakes that Brooklyn made, where you see the talent, and obviously the talent is as obvious as it could be, but are we ignoring or discounting the personality, traits, like the chemistry issue? So that's my biggest takeaway from that. Is like I need to know, what is the chemistry going to look like? Especially, again, you're not integrating KD this week. Like, you're integrating him after the All-Star break, right? And maybe not right after the All-Star break, maybe a couple weeks after the All-Star break. And we're expecting them to like kind of get that together really quickly in a crowded West with no bench. And Monty Williams, a good coach, but has not really, outside of 1 year, established himself as a great coach.
Yeah,
we'll see. But this happened because they got a new owner literally 2 days before this trade went down, and he wanted to make a big splash. And he's a go for it guy from reading about him. So that was the big thing that really drove that deal to happen.
Some other smaller deals that happened on the deadline was the Clippers and the Rockets. It was a three-team trade with the Grizzlies. So the Clippers receive Eric Gordon, 3 future second-round picks. The Rockets got John Wall back, who I'm sure is going to be a buyout. Danny Green.
Eric Gordon back.
Huh?
Say Eric Gordon, drafted by the Clippers.
You're right. He was traded for Chris Paul, wasn't he?
Yes, sure was.
Yeah. And so Danny Green, John Wall, a protected swap with the Clippers is going to the Rockets, and the Grizzlies get Luke Kennard. I actually like that pickup for the Grizzlies. Get some more shooting out there on the wing. And I'm assuming, so with the Clippers, I'm assuming they're looking for more active backcourt play with their shooting because they moved Reggie earlier in that day and brought in Gordon. So I'm assuming, because I know Reggie didn't play too well this past season, and they want more shooting. And John Wall was also not a good fit with them. He didn't play much. Out of those 3 teams, man, which trade you think benefited the most for that team?
I mean, obviously it's the Grizzlies. Eric Gordon's a shell. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm sure he could still make some shots here and there. I've seen him make a couple shots, but he's washed. He's washed, like, relative to what he was as a role player in 2018. I would say, like, it's been a really steady decline since then. So I don't see how Eric Gordon really helps them much. I don't see him playing over Terrence Mann. Right? Like, sure, you may get 6 minutes a half, but in the playoffs, when that rotation tightens all the way down, and Ty Lue is a Doc Rivers disciple, so that rotation is going to dwindle all the way down. I don't see Eric Gordon really helping much. What he does kind of help with is getting rid of the clutter that they had at the guard position, like John Wall. Again, like, it's just no regard to fit. Like, he was a minimum pickup, but he just really didn't add much when the ball wasn't in his hands. And Reggie Jackson took a step back as far as like being a floor general for some reason. I think having Kawhi out for so long and then him just kind of popping back in is definitely affected the way that so many guys approach that team, because you're so used to Kawhi being gone.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, PG's gonna have the ball in his hand. Now who else is? Me. I'm Reggie Jackson. I'm gonna have the ball in my hands. So I'm like Terrence Mann. I'm gonna have the ball in my hands a lot more. And again, everybody just kind of had to take a step down because of Kawhi, and he's not even really. He's starting to consistently play now a little bit, but yeah, it's gonna call this. That's one of the reasons they've been, mostly up and down this season.
And Ty Lue's one of those guys. He plays 10 deep, so it's kind of hard to even get a rhythm. Luke Kennard barely played at times, and he's a guy that they brought in for big money to be a guy to spread the floor a little bit. So
he helps Memphis. He definitely helps Memphis. They needed extra shooting. And he's a guy who can be like a connector on offense, like a guy who can, make a play out of the pick and roll or off a closeout, find Ja instead of Ja having to create everything. So there's some particular lineups that I think he could be really, really effective. Especially if like they're playing Jaren Jackson Jr. and Brandon Clark at the same time, or maybe Bane and Clark at the same time, or Bane and Jackson at the same time. You want to have a little bit extra spacing out there.
Yeah.
And also somebody who can create a little bit for other people. So he helps.
I bet that Josh statement he made a couple months ago about not worrying about the West at all, it's backfiring pretty well.
The giant, the West turned into Jim Johnson. They turned into Steve Spagnuolo in the 07 Super Bowl when he said that. I'm like, oh, what word? Here's a few pictures for you.
the NBA West said, NBA West GM said, "Hold my beer."
I was like, come on, man. First of all, Ja is my dude, man.
Oh, I love Ja.
Love Ja. What the fuck are you talking about? You're good in the West, son. You've won 2 playoff series. No.
One
playoff series, pardon me.
Yeah.
One of them was against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Like, family, no.
Yeah.
But he got that. I'm sure they learning that pretty quickly. This West don't slow down for nobody.
Nobody, man. The Celtics acquired Mike Muscala.
Good pickup.
Thunder. I love that pickup, man. For Justin Jackson, two future second round picks.
Hey.
North Carolina NCAA champion Justin Jackson and 2 future seconds.
I forgot he was on the Celtics.
I thought he was still on the Kings. I know we had him for like a hot second. We traded him again. I totally forgot that he was on the Celtics.
I saw him at the end of the bench in one game, and I was like, "Oh yeah, you are, yeah, Celtics." But I've been watching a lot of Thunder games.
Yeah,
like, Thunder are remarkably well coached, and they use Muscala, mostly as a above the break stretch 5. I don't know the numbers. I didn't look at the numbers obviously, but he's from the games I watched, he made a lot of threes at the top of the key. That's like his spot. He made a bunch of them against the Warriors in the last 2 games we played against them. He's good. He was really good in that Lakers game. That when LeBron broke that record, he's a good pickup. Good, decent at defending the rim. He's not really as stiff in defending the pick and roll. I think he'll help. He makes Boston a little bit better.
Boston over the past calendar year, the past year, going back to last January, they've made some really, really quality roster pickups at the trade deadline. I know last year they did a wonderful job picking the Spurs lineup and getting, oh my gosh, what was it? Derek White. Yeah. And Derek White became a very good rotational guard for them in the finals against the Warriors. And again, Mike Muscala is another guy that is going to be a solid pickup for them. That's another team too that I'm concerned with from the standpoint of them having too many good players. As far as like having a set rotation, I don't know how Mazzulla tapers down that rotation going into the playoffs, but he's going to have some tough decisions to make for sure. Because I feel like sometimes too much depth can be a problem as far as consistency and everything. So we'll see come April on what he decides to do with that roster.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't really give up much to get him, and he's a luxury in case of really an insurance policy. Robert Williams or Al Horford, gets another injury late in the season. So
let's try to make a mess of this, man. Clear this mess with the Warriors, Hawks, and Blazers. So initially on the trade deadline, the Pistons received James Wiseman initially. The Warriors, I got Gary Payton II and 3 future second-round picks from the Blazers. The Hawks received Sadiq Bey from the Pistons, and the Blazers received Kevin Knox from the Knicks and 5 future second-round picks. So from my understanding, Tristan, with the whole Gary Payton situation, does that put the whole 14 trade in jeopardy now?
Absolutely. Anytime for a trade to be completed, either A, all parties have to pass a physical, or B, a team has to agree. If a player does not pass said physical, team has to agree to allow that trade to continue to go through. which is what we're seeing here with the Warriors and specifically the Blazers. Like the other two teams they matter only in ancillary ways. This is really a conflict between the Golden State Warriors and the Portland Trailblazers. Gary Payton Jr. suffered a torn pectoral muscle, I believe so. He had an abdominal issue, right? And he rehabbed for it over the summer. Came back. He really came back around at the beginning of December, I want to say, or mid-December. He's played 17 games for the Portland Trailblazers. In the games that I've watched, including like his first game back from injury, and his last game against with Portland against the Warriors on Tuesday, and about 7 to 8 games sprinkled in between. In none of those games has he looked right physically, right? This is not me saying this as a Warriors fan defending the Warriors. I don't know what the fuck, is said or withheld in that medical report. I haven't seen a medical report, couldn't read it if they gave it to me. But Golden State is alleging that Portland withheld some key information in that medical report after Gary Payton came back to the Warriors, went through the physical. They found some things that they believe were withheld from the report. And that's where we are now. So what I've been asked by a lot of people is this trade going to still go through, or are they going to, whatever. The alternative to not letting this trade go through is having James Wiseman come back. And again, I think James Wiseman is going to be really good. And I think there's going to be a little piece of the Warriors that are going to regret letting him go. But ultimately, James Wiseman has not been good. He hasn't been a good fit. None of these things very few of these things are his fault. So the Warriors would rather him get a fresh start, right? Get a good start on his career, go to a place that's committed to playing him, starting him, as they've already said, and not bringing him back into a situation where he's not going to play because he just simply doesn't fit the timeline of the players that are key and central to everything that the Warriors are doing. He kills Steph minutes. Him and Steph are minus 60 something, over the course of the time that they spent. So I think this trade is going to go through. That's what, Woj just kind of reported that. Different Warriors beat writers have reported that this trade is going to go through, but just not without the mess, first.
Another trade that I liked as well was the 4-team trade between the Nuggets, Lakers, Clippers, and Magic. So Thomas Bryant is a favorite of mine for the Lakers. He's played very, very well, especially while AD was out. He's become an offensive presence, which I didn't know anything about Thomas Bryant going into the season. And he had been a double machine for the Lakers as well. He now goes to the Nuggets alongside with your 2-time MVP Nikola Jokic. The Lakers get Mo Bamba, Devon Reed, and a 2nd-round pick. The Magic get Patrick Beverley and a 2nd-round pick and cash considerations, which is confusing to me. Mo Bamba was a lottery pick, and I think the number 5th pick of the draft. In the Luka draft. And the fact that you pretty much give them an Asian point guard and a 2nd-round pick for a guy who I feel like has a lot of potential and could be a double machine if given the opportunity, and a guy who could spread the defense out with his shooting as well. So I feel like the Lakers won in that trade. Clippers get Bones Highland from the Nuggets. What is your thoughts on this 4-team trade?
I mean, on the Clipper side, like we talked about, you getting kind of your ball stopping guards out, but I think Bones Highland kind of is a ball stopper as well. I don't really understand that from the Clippers perspective, but Bones Highland is better than the 2 guards they let out. I think it really just gets as simple as that. For Denver side, again, you get a good backup for Jokic, a guy who's active, offensive rebounds really well, runs the floor really well. And could potentially play with Jokic in some certain lineups that I probably won't see much of the light of day, but it's potentially. But yeah, this worked better for the Lakers. The Lakers did a good job. Jason Tatum just tried to murder Brandon Clark. the Lakers did a good job, which is something I haven't been able to say about their front office in a while. So they got more rotational pieces. They look like a well functioning, decent looking team, and that's that. But it wasn't. Yeah, this wasn't like a blockbuster, but like the Lakers, I think, kind of moved up a slight tier in their playoff chase.
I think so too. I think the Lakers are more athletic as well with Vanderbilt, Bamba, the bigger, the younger, with Malik Beasley and D'Angelo Russell, and they were in another 3-team deal with the Jazz and the Timberwolves. So the Jazz, they received Russell, Juan Toscano Anderson, Damian Jones, and a first-round pick from the Lakers in 2027. Timberwolves get Mike Conley and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 2024 second-round pick swap, 2025 second-round pick from the Jazz, and 2026 second from the Jazz as well. I like this a lot from the standpoint that LeBron's going to miss some games down the stretch, and you need a decent supporting cast to carry them. And guys who can create their own shots and get guys involved. And I'm a big D'Angelo Russell guy. I think if he's your distant third best player, I think you're in good shape. And he's a guy that can create instant offense for the Lakers. They can create, get the ball to AD when need be. Malik Beasley is another guy who can shoot, can get to the rack. And Vanderbilt, who I really wanted, is a high energy guy who can rebound, defend, two of the positions. The Lakers are going to be better. I don't know how much better, but better.
Definitely better.
Definitely better.
They should definitely be able to compete in more games and be more productive when LeBron is on the bench or not playing. As we saw last night, they already beat the Warriors. So
yeah, I mean they look refreshed. And then last, I know Kyrie is with the Mavericks. I was very hesitant with that trade. Kyrie has looked good. I mean, the ball's moved. Well, Luka missed 3 games after the Kyrie trade, and the against the Kings the night before, they had 34 assists. Like the ball was moving, and this fluidity. So I want to see. I kind of wish the Mavs would have gotten on the wing. Because I'm very concerned about Bullock playing 39 minutes a game. That's just not feasible. You can't have him play that many minutes a game going to like in the postseason with Dorian Finney last year. He was averaging about 39 minutes a game. Him and Dorian Finney. That can't happen now. You can't do it.
It can't happen because North Carolina legend Reggie Bullock. He's just not as good as Dorian Finney-Smith. He's not as good. Like he's on a hot streak right now because there's just more shots, and Luka was out before last night. But hey, if there's one thing Kyrie Irving is going to do is make a great first impression. Right, first game in Brooklyn, 50-some points. Like coming into Cleveland, coming into Duke, 30 point. Like he's gonna make a good first impression. Let's just see if that keeps rolling. But it's looked really good. At the very least, this is going to be a fun pairing. At the very least.
And Josh, and you have a rookie who's getting in the rotation, and Jaden Hardy, who's looked very, very well with shooting and getting to the lane. And Josh Green, man, since the trade, he's averaging 19 a game, and he's a guy he's high energy. He's going to chase down rebounds. He's going to be a very energetic, frenetic defender. We just need one more wing. So again, man, T, thanks for this 30-minute basketball talk, man. I appreciate you, man. Look, man, if you want to talk about more about the draft, the coming up, NBA trade deadline or playoffs, man, please like, subscribe, share, Watcher's Basement. Give us your opinions about the NBA trade deadline. Give us your grades. Talk about which trades you like the most. Give us a little grades on each trade. Let's grow our audience, man. Road to 500 subscribers is now going live. Let's get it. Please share this with everybody else, man.
Tell a friend. Tell a friend.
Please watch at Watcher's Basement. Subscribe. We're on YouTube. We're on Google Podcasts. Everywhere, man. So please, man, let's share it. Let's get it. Happy Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday it is, and let's go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.